Today we have a special guest. It's Cam from Carolina Fragrance Reviews, and we have handpicked 12 fragrances that we have been wearing this summer. Generally, I want some fragrances that are refreshing and uplifting. It gets hot and humid down here in Georgia, so I lean towards more of citrus and freshies and aquatics. And, you know, just stay tuned and see what we have to pick.
Oh, that's hot. So now I told him you ought to customize your fragrances into decants so you only spray what you need.
Dad, can we talk about something other than work? It's the weekend.
Yeah. Weekends. Fragrances are like weekends. You want chicken or do you want a hot dog?
Only spray for what you need.
So if you're new to the channel, this is where I decant out to your fragrance reviews, lists, and everything else that's fragrance related. Now let's get into it. So first up on my list is the Overlook Mansera. It's Wave Musk. I wouldn't say this is overly aquatic or musky, but a perfect mixture of the two. What I get is a beautiful blackcurrant melded with fresh herbs and a little sweet floral from the orange blossom. Then you get a pinch of sea salt and a little bit of the white musk. It's very fresh, it's smooth, and I can see where this name comes into play. I could smell and see the waves crashing over the rocks on the shoreline with a little bit of the greenery growing on the rocks. This is excellent summer pick.
And the first fragrance that I'm going to talk about is one that Kenny actually put me on. There was a raffle going on. We got in on it and he got it for me, and I've been loving this fragrance. I wear it a lot during the summertime. It is Silmarin from Healy. Now this fragrance is really beachy, super beachy. It reminds me of like Carolina Beach, Curie Beach, walking underneath the boardwalk. You've got some lemon and bergamot as top notes, so you've got some nice citrus and kind of fruity nuances in here, as well as some slightly ozonic and aquatic notes in here, a little bit of a green vibe. It even has seawater and salt listed as notes, so you do get that aquatic vibe and almost like salty air when you spray this fragrance. It's a must-have summertime beachy fragrance, just a very carefree and relaxing fragrance if there's ever been one.
Next up on my list is Tom Ford Costa Azura. This one was recently switched from the private blend to the signature line. This is a very nice, mature and regal summer fragrance with a salty aquatic touch from the driftwood and the seaweed. I get a sweet undertone from the lemon. To me, it has a very Mediterranean vibe. The driftwood is done really well. It's very smooth and doesn't come off as very dusty or dry like some heavy driftwood fragrances.
Now the next fragrance comes from an indie house that I absolutely adore and is an absolute must-have house, period, for summertime. It is Beach Giza, and the fragrance I'm going to talk about today just happens to be the most iconic fragrance from Beach Giza is Cocoa Moon. Now if you want that beast mode summertime fragrance that's going to last all day long and really just stick you somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere tropical, you know, some Pacific islands, anything like that where you're going to be, maybe drinking a mojito and watching pretty girls walk by in bikinis, Cocoa Moon is going to be the perfect fragrance for that.
I gotta say, I've been absolutely loving Mansera for their summer offerings, and this is by far one of my favorite Manseras. It's Soleil d'Italie, and right out the gate you get a beautiful burst of citrus, and it's through the life of the fragrance. But what the best part is the dry down. You get this absolutely elegant Bulgarian rose with cardamom, and it's mixed with some of the watery notes and the clean vetiver. It's just absolutely gorgeous. This I would select for a great formal dress occasion, and definitely one of my top picks for a sometime wedding. And this also has excellent performance.
Now the next fragrance is for those of you who might like to maybe puff on a little bit of puff give, if you know what I mean. This is from Teddy Mugler. This is Fly Away. Now Fly Away is known for its cannabis note, but it also has an amazing grapefruit note. So it's gonna be really bright in the opening, but it also has a smokiness that kind of comes through with that cannabis note, and it also comes off a little bit green. But that grapefruit really pops on the top, kind of gives it a sparkle, an effervescence, and you really do get somewhat of a kind of authentic cannabis note. Now, I don't say it smells like ganja or weed or burnt weed or, burnt marijuanas. So it definitely does give off a bit of that cannabis note, but it's not overbearing. One of the better cannabis fragrances I've smelled, and this is not a super expensive fragrance to own. If you like something a little bit different that has something fresh that's gonna take you to maybe a barbecue where you're hanging out with some buds and to each other, yeah, go ahead and go with Fly Away.
So next on my list is one that I have done a few review on, and I heard you guys like citrus, and I heard you guys like Rivieras. Well, it's none other than BDK Parfums Citrus Riviera. This has such a beautiful citrus opening with the neroli, mandarin, and lemon. It has such an uplifting sea breeze almost quality to it. And one thing I have to say, this has one of my favorite notes ever listed. It's Strawberry Neo Jungle Essence. If anyone knows what the fuck that is, please let me know.
The next fragrance comes from one of my absolute favorite niche houses. It is Pour Homme from Argos. Now, this fragrance, when I first smelled it, the very first time I smelled it, I liked it, but I just wasn't like, well, I don't know if I would buy that. Well, I wound up getting one anyway, and as you can see, there's a rather significant dent in this fragrance, especially for as many fragrances that I own. Now, this is a very masculine and easy to wear fragrance, but it is a bit dressed up. It's not overly complicated. You can wear this dressed down, but if you had an evening out where you're wanting to dress up, or say you're at the beach and you wanted to go head out to eat, maybe go, maybe to a Japanese steakhouse or something, this is the fragrance that I would definitely reach for, and did reach for when my son and I and the rest of my family went on vacation during the July 4th week. Now, some of the notes in this are lemon, gin, pine. Yes, that pine really works well in here. It's not overly piney. It doesn't smell Christmas tree or anything, but it does give it a little bit of a, almost like a pine tar note, not overly bearing, but if you know what I mean, where it just gives off like that masculine type woodsy thing, that really works well in this fragrance.
This next one on my list is the underrated gem of a Creed fragrance, and I think you guys really need to give this one a chance. It's the perfect upscale summer fragrance. It's Creed Royal Water. The opening of this has the effervescent fizzy and zesty citrus mixed with zesty peppermint and a classic Creed ambergris. I gotta say, man, you guys real missing out if you don't give this a chance.
Okay, the next fragrance comes from a very dear friend of mine, Richard, upon his fragrance brand called Precious Liquid. This is one of my all-time favorites. It is Blue Agave. Now, Blue Agave is my poolside scent. This is a fragrance that I can put on, go swimming, the pool water starts smelling like me, And then when you get out, it still lasts. This fragrance doesn't seem like it's beastly. It doesn't seem like it projects really hard or anything like that. I would say it has moderate sillage, but it still sticks with you. It has excellent longevity. This fragrance will stay on my skin easily a solid 10 hours, even after I've been swimming in chlorine and shock and all that good stuff. Now, Blue Agave is a really bright, salty, citrus, aquatic fragrance that just works. I love this type of fragrance, especially if you just want something that's super easy to spray on, that's just gonna be with you all day, where you don't have to keep reapplying, as we do many summer fragrances. Out of the Precious Liquids line, this is actually got amazing performance, and none of them are slackers, but they use a lot of natural ingredients in this. A very skilled hand perfuming, just a great summertime fragrance. So some of the notes in this are lime, salted driftwood, sage, and a wet sea accord. So you definitely get like that salty air like you do at the beach. Just a great, all-around fantastic fragrance. Check out Blue Agave from Precious Liquid.
So last up on my list is Terre de Hermes Eau Très Fresh. This is my favorite from the line, and I have such affinity for this fragrance. When I break this out, I know it's summertime. It has such a bright, zesty bitter orange and grapefruit, and the watery notes add a nice little bit of texture. It kind of reminds me of when you're washing an orange and then you're cutting it. Get that beautiful citrus smell mixed with wateriness. To me, this is a summertime staple, and one of those fragrances that I can't live without.
Now, last but not least is one of last year's releases from Kilian. It is Roses on Ice. Now, when I did my first impressions video on this, I was very much blown away. I thought the performance on this was going to actually beat Angel Share. Well, of course, we know how beastly Angel Share is, but this has amazing performance too. Very fresh, get a nice cucumber accord in here, mixed with almost like a gin that comes from juniper berries. And then you've got some lime. Obviously, you're gonna have some rose. You got Roses on Ice. And then you've got a really nice musk and sandalwood on the dry down. Again, another great fragrance for summertime that just is very uplifting. I personally love drinking cucumber water in the summertime. Just in case you didn't know, I saw a health specialist that was talking about drinking plain water is not nowhere near as beneficial as it is if you put something in it, even if it's just lemon juice or cucumber. So it actually teaches your body to metabolize versus just peeing it out. Like, you know, when you drink a lot of water, you're just gonna pee it out. If you put something in there like cucumbers, help you metabolize. So just a little side note to help you out if you're interested in anything like that. But this fragrance does kind of give me like that cucumber water, but then you've got the rose in here and the lime and everything else, and it has really good performance, and that cucumber really sticks around for a long time. And the way that the rose is done in here, it's like freshly cut roses in the spring. Just a super easy fragrance to wear. Definitely unisex, smells masculine on me, smells feminine on women. Just a perfect unisex fragrance that doesn't lean too hard one way or the other. So that's gonna wrap it up. I'd like to give a big thank you to my brother and one of my best friends in the world, Kenny, the Fragrance Shark. I always love doing videos with Kenny.
Thank you for joining the Fragrance Shark, and I will see you next time.